Okay, welcome. Today we're going to be going over some basic tutorials on how to use the Enscope Analytics website. Going to be going over a couple of things. Going to be going over how to use the general user interface, where all the buttons are and what they do. Be going over how to change the filters to show the correct data that you actually want to see. And then we'll go into a little bit into how to export the data that you're seeing on your screen so that you can use it in Excel and other formats. And then at the end, we'll go over a little bit into how to set up reports and alerts as well. Okay, so starting off, this is the general user interface for the analytics platform. You have the graph in the center here, which shows the data that you want to see. In the top left-hand side, under clients, you'll see your client name, which will be set up on our behalf for you. And on the right-hand side, you will see all the filters, resolution, face type, and the date range, which I'll go over now. Okay, so in the top right-hand corner, you have the date range, which you want to select to see the dates for the data. So you can click on a start date. So if I click on, for example, Tuesday the 8th of January here as my start date, and I want to see for a week, and I want to see till Tuesday in the next week, I can simply click on the 15th there, and it will show me the entire week from Tuesday to Tuesday. In addition to that, you have these handy little buttons down the side, so you can click on just today to show just today's data, yesterday, this week, last 7 days. You can see this month, last month, and you can also go to this year and last year, depending on how far back your data ranges to. So if I just, for now, click on this week and show this week's data, and then click the little update button, it will update the data that is shown in this middle window here, and that will show the data that you want. Okay, and now, so down the side here is where you'll be mainly going to select the parameters for the data that you want to be shown on this center screen here. So we have a meter selection, field selection, resolution, phase type, and comparison. So starting off with meters. This can range, depends on how many CTs and actual Eniscope kits you have installed at your site. It can range from 2, for example here, up to several kits across the site. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select both these meters here. So I'm showing the main incoming supply, which is the 600 amp supply here, and an office block as well, which is also being monitored. Okay, and now I've got those two. Now I've made a change on this side. You need to press the update button in the top right. That will update the center screen based on the parameters that you've ticked over here. Okay, further to that, you've next got fields. Within the fields, this is the parameters that you want to, so the things you actually want to show on this center screen. So, for example, I've just got energy ticked at the moment, so this will be showing the consumption for the main incoming supply and the office block in kilowatt hours for just this week. And it's Tuesday this week, so it's only gone up to Tuesday at the moment. But if you were viewing this on Saturday or Sunday, you'd have the full week. Okay, so some of the other fields that you can have on the side here. So I've got energy ticked at the moment. Some of the main ones that you'll likely be using is perhaps reactive energy or reactive power, which is down here as well. Carbon, which shows the amount of carbon that you'll be using based on a ratio between kilowatt hours and a carbon ratio. Cost, which is worked out from bills, which are put into the back end of the analytics. So it can show you your cost per hour, per minute, depends on the resolution that you have. Some of the other main ones as well, you can click on current to show the current and the volts as well, so the voltage across the site or whichever meters you have selected. And one of the other important ones as well is perhaps power factor, which shows the quality of the energy which you're getting. It shows that to a factor of 1, so we'll go over that in a second. So if I just press update here, now I've got energy ticked, current and voltage. It will now update this center screen to show those 3 parameters that I've got ticked down the side there. And if you use your mouse and hover over the center map, you get these handy little markers that will show based on where the mouse is hovering over. So down the bottom time there it says Tuesday the 5th at 6 a.m. and these are the current readings from on the data for voltage, current and energy at 6 o'clock on that point. Okay, so one of the things you can do on this graph in the center here is you can select the date range in the top right up here. So if I go to yesterday and just press update, one of the things you can do is if you want to look at a certain period within the day or week or whichever time period you've got selected, is you can simply just use the cursor and click and drag over the period that you want. So if I go from 4 a.m. in the morning to let's say 3 o'clock, 3 p.m. and then just let go, it will then zoom in to that area and show you the data for that period that you've got selected. Okay, so the next thing, so you've gone over the fields. You can explore these in your own time, or simply just tick them on or off as you want them and press the update button to show what you want. The next one is the resolution. Now the resolution at the moment is set to 1 hour. So you can see these columns here are set to 1 hour chunks. You've got 11 there, 12 a.m. there, 1 p.m, 2 p.m, so on. And you can actually go down to, you can change this to whatever you want. You can go to 30 minutes, 15-minute intervals, or you can go as low as minute by minute data. So if I just update that now. It could take a while. Generally, the longer time period you select and the more data you're trying to show, it does take a little while to update sometimes. But there you go. So you can see now over the same time period, I'm now showing minute by minute data as opposed to just the data for the hour. So you can see down the bottom I've got 5:13 there and 8:05. So it goes minute by minute. And again, just like before, you can click and drag and zoom into a certain area that you want to observe and have a look closer at the data. So you can go right in, right down to the minutes here. So it is showing 4 minutes. Okay, you can also press the auto button over here, which will just simply set the most suitable resolution for the data range you've got. So if you're showing a year's worth of data on this graph in the center, it probably won't be able to fit minute by minute data into that space. So if you press auto, it will likely give you the best resolution to fit the right data into that screen. Okay, so moving on from that, the next one is phase type. So there's 2 options here. You can have the system, which just shows you, depending on which, if I just go to CT1 for now, just showing the main incoming supply for this building. So when you've got system selected, it just shows you the system energy consumption for whatever resolution you've got set. If you tick 3-phase and press update, it will then split that data down into the energy consumption. So this is what the field I've got selected here, for all 3 phases across that site. Okay, and like before, if you hover over one of the areas, it gives you the handy little data view showing you the data points at that where the cursor is placed. So this works on all of the options here. So if I go down to voltage and current and select those on and turn energy off, and just press update. It will then show across all 3 phases. Up here we've got the voltage, so it's coming in around 240 volts, and then you've got the current here, which obviously changes, but again that is split across all 3 phases. Okay, so next up I'm going to show you some other features on the user interface. So you've got this button up here which will just hide the filters down the side to give you a better view of the data. It's a slightly bigger graph as well, and you can just simply press show filters again to get that back up. Down the bottom here you've got the legend, which shows the colours related to the data. And down the bottom here you have the summary of the data shown over this the time period that you have selected. So I've got yesterday being shown here, and it gives you you've got the summary here, which shows you the average for each field that you've got selected. So if you have all of those fields selected, then you would have them all appear down here, and it will show you the average, maximum and minimum, and potentially total if you've got things like energy selected. And this could just be a handy thing to just quickly get a quick overall summary rather than trying to find the data on the graph. You can go down to the bottom here and quickly see the relevant information that you want to see. Okay, now up to the sort of top right hand side up here above the graph, you have a couple of options. So this is where you can go to export some of your data. So if you want to export it into a CSV file, which you can then download into Excel and then manipulate the data yourself into graphs. If you're not happy with the graph that's being shown here, you can do that. And you can do that by clicking this little button here. And you can see you can download as CSV, an image, or a SVG. And just a point on that is when you click this download button, you'll only download the data for the data range that you have selected. So I've got yesterday being shown here, so if I download the CSV for this, it will only download the data for yesterday. And same whether as if I zoom into here, so it's just an hour or so, if I press the download button, it will only download for that period there. Some of the other things here, you have some graph options. So at the moment we've got the graph type as the line graph. You can also show it as a pie graph as well, pie chart. And there are for a few other features here. You can show events, which I'll show you in a second. Show some trend lines, dynamic scaling, auto refresh, which is just refresh it to whenever you change the fields or anything. Show gaps, you can turn those off. There's just a few little things down here to help display the data slightly better. Okay, you also got the full screen button here, which will make the graph go full screen. Can be quite handy to use sometimes. You can also print. This will do the same as the downloaded data. It will only print what's currently on your data range at the moment. And you can also open this in a separate window by clicking this button here. Okay, so on the left-hand side over here, just to show you a few more features, you have an export data tab, which does similar to what it does in the graph, just goes into a little bit more detail about downloading the data. Settings, don't have to worry about that unless you have admin permission to change some of the meter names and things like that, etc. You also have alarms, which you can go over to here. I'll just show you that now. So alarms is if you want to set up an alarm to alert you when, for example, energy goes over a set amount. You can set out an email alert that will go out to someone and alert them when the consumption is going above that, your set parameters. So if you come up here to the top right and press add alarm, you can give that alarm a name. So if I just call that high usage, you can call that whatever you want, it's up to you, and give it a description as well, but I'll leave that blank for now. And alert if, obviously you want the status on, but you can turn these off if you don't want them on at the time and you don't want to delete them. So alert if is selecting the meter. So for example, if I want to set an alert to know when the some information about the main incoming supply, I'd select that one. The field is what you want to know, so whether the energy consumption or whether it's current voltage, select whatever you want from here. So I'll just select energy for now. Fixed, you can select in here whether it's sort of the alert if it's the average consumption goes over a certain amount, or the minimum, maximum, and for now I'll just use fixed. It's the easiest one to use. Here you got obviously less than, equals to, or greater than. So if I want to set an alert to know when the consumption goes over a certain amount, I'll press go greater than, and I'll set the amount here, and it's done in watt hours. So if I want, if I set that to 1,000 watts, that'd be 1 kilowatt. And I'll just set that for now, just as an example. Obviously, my main income supply is much greater than that. Next here, you got the period. So this is based on. So if I select that for 1 hour, in that 1 hour, if it goes above 1,000 watts, then the alert will be triggered. And but same if I set that for 10 minutes or 1 minute. Here you got the recipients. So this is the email address of the people you want to be alerted. So you can just simply put the email address in there, and it will send out an email reminder to them about the alert. And then you've got the reminders here. So if it's important, you can set it to a 15-minute reminder and keep emailing them every 15 minutes to remind them. Language, obviously you've got two options there, English and Spanish. And then the periods is over which period you want to for the alarm to work. So greater than 1,000 watts over 1 minute from, for example, the 5th of February to the 20th of February. And you can set the time here as well. Okay, and then you just press the submit button down there.